Hey there, today I'm gonna explain a survival thriller film that depicts a bride on the run for her life. She must be sacrificed to perform a century-old ritual. Even if she successfully escapes the mansion, she gets eventually captured and brought back to the room, where the ghastly ritual will be performed. But she decides to fight back and sets the whole mansion on fire with her in-laws inside. Terror Recaps welcomes you to Ready or Not. The movie unfolds with two brothers, Daniel and Alex Domas, running frantically through the halls of a large house. Daniel quickly hides Alex in a closet, just as a man in a wedding suit pleads for help. Instead of assisting him, Daniel yells out. The rest of the Domas family enters the room, and another arrow is shot at the man, while the bride, Helene, tries to calm them down. Despite her efforts, the man is dragged away, and Helene tries to come to terms with the situation. Next, fast forward 30 years, and we find Grace sitting in her wedding dress in Alex Domas' room. She's about to marry Alex, and despite the fact that his family seems to dislike her and suspect her motives, she's in love with Alex and can't wait to be part of the family. Just before the wedding, Alex warns her seriously that it's not too late to back out, but Grace reassures him with a kiss that she's committed. The wedding ceremony takes place in the courtyard, where Grace takes her wedding photos. This is where we meet the peculiar members of the Domas family, the eerie Aunt Helene, the rough and tough brother Daniel and his snobbish wife Charity, the entitled father Tony, and the lovely mother Becky. To put it succinctly, the Domas family has a long-standing tradition that dates back to when their ancestor Victor Domas met a mysterious man named Mr. Labelle. This man gifted Victor a box, and soon after the Domas family received a substantial donation in Mr. Labelle's honor. In order to pay tribute to this generous act, they made it a custom to play a game with this box whenever they welcome a new member into the family. The rules of the game are simple. A blank card is inserted into the box, and Mr. Labelle will then dictate which game they must play for the evening. On Grace's wedding night, it is her turn to draw the card and read the game out loud. Alex, Grace's husband, looks worried as the mood in the room suddenly becomes tense. Tony Domas, Alex's father, explains that they will turn off all the security cameras for the game as they like to play it just like in the old days. Grace is instructed to hide while the rest of the family counts to 100, and then begins to hunt her down armed with old weapons. Alex is advised to stay in the game room, and Charity, Daniel's wife, is assigned to keep him inside. Grace decides to hide in a dumbwaiter while the rest of the family sets off to find her. Without Charity knowing, Alex sneaks away through a secret door to the servants' hallway. It's not long before Charity comes in and realizes Alex is gone. Meanwhile, Grace is getting bored in the dumbwaiter and decides to leave. She manages to avoid a servant searching for a missing child. Then Alex pulls her to hide just as the wandering servant enters the room. But to their surprise, Emily shoots and kills the servant, shocking Grace. The Domas family finds the body and scolds Emily for killing the servant instead of the bride. They wait until the family removes the body before getting up. Alex explains to Grace that this is happening because she drew the one bad card in the game of hide and seek, causing the family to believe they have to kill her before sunrise or something bad will happen to them. The couple sneaks into the servants' hallway, and Grace breaks down, overwhelmed and confused. Alex tells her he didn't think she would draw that card because it's highly unlikely. Alex tells Grace that although he would have preferred to just live with her without getting married, he knew that she wanted the security of a wedding. He promises to protect her and instructs her to leave through the kitchen, while he goes to unlock all the doors in the security room. Grace rips the skirt of her dress to make it easier to move and picks the left door at the end of the hallway that leads her to Emily, who begins shooting blindly. Grace is able to slip past her and tries to escape, but all the doors and windows are locked. She backs against a wall in panic and desperation, only to find that it is Daniel, Alex's brother. He calmly passes her and grabs the whiskey, telling her that he doesn't want to hurt her but would have to call the others to find her. Grace runs for her life as Daniel yells once he finishes counting. The family members arrive in the study to find Grace gone, and Emily mistakenly shoots a servant who enters the room. Frustrated, Helene Domas announces that they only have until dawn to find and kill Grace. To save time, Becky suggests using the security cameras instead of following tradition, and the family agree. Back there, Grace stops in front of the game room and grabs a shotgun on display. She then waits for Alex to unlock the kitchen door. However, a butler enters the room and Grace hides. Meanwhile, Alex has entered the security room and turns the cameras back on but struggles to unlock the doors. Grace realizes the shotgun is empty and reloads it while the butler is making tea. Alex finally unlocks the doors, catching the butler's attention, and Grace tries to sneak up behind him with a shotgun, but it doesn't work. The butler tells her the ammunition is just for display. Grace hits him with a teapot. Tony, Alex's father, starts pounding on the door, so Alex destroys the control panel for the security cameras. Tony rushes at Alex, but Alex pins him down. Daniel tries to calm the situation, and Alex pleads for help for Grace. As Grace searches for a hiding spot, she opens the dumbwaiter and finds a scared servant, but the servant begins yelling and accidentally activates the dumbwaiter, crushing herself to death. Grace continues running. In Alex's room, Alex is unconscious and handcuffed to the bed. Aunt Helene thinks that once Alex realizes his true identity as the future leader of the Domas family, he will stop helping Grace. While they are talking, Grace is outside the window, listening. She jumps down and hides in a barn when she sees someone with a flashlight. It turns out to be Georgie, one of Emily's children. Grace comes out of hiding and punches the child unconscious. She is then shocked by a goat and falls into a ditch filled with rotting corpses. Despite the pain in her injured hand, she climbs up and out of the ditch. She uses her sleeve to bandage her hand. Charity sees her leaving the barn and tries to shoot her, but misses. She goes back inside and tells the butler where Grace is. Grace finally reaches the fence and tries to flag down a passing car for help, but it drives away. Grace escapes from the Domas estate and runs into the woods. The butler reports her escape to Tony Domas and the family, who believe they will die if Grace isn't killed before sunrise. Alex Domas wakes up and tries to break free from the handcuffs in the bedroom. Daniel and Emily go to the barn to dispose of the dead servants' bodies, but Daniel thinks the whole family deserves to die. Grace is running through a field and is pursued by the butler in a car. After a scuffle on the ground, Grace chokes the butler unconscious and takes off in the car. She calls a car helpline and asks them to call the police, but the operator informs her that the car has been reported stolen and she must stop using it. Grace rests, comforted by the knowledge that the police have been called. Unfortunately, the butler wakes up a while later and shoots Grace with a sedative, causing her to pass out instantly. When she wakes up, she's tied up in the back of the car being driven by the butler. He's on a video call with the Domas family. Grace fights back, repeatedly hitting the butler until he loses consciousness again and causes a car crash. She crawls out of the wreckage and Daniel arrives, holding a shotgun. He tells Grace he doesn't want her to die, but he's too weak to stand up against his family. Grace tries to convince him that the curse isn't real and that no one's going to die in the morning. With a heavy heart, Daniel knocks her out. Tony, who has been secretly watching, steps out from behind the trees to test Daniel's loyalty. Meanwhile, Alex is still handcuffed and is visited by his mother Becky, who tries to convince him to switch sides and help the family instead of Grace. Alex refuses and says he'll keep fighting for Grace because she's kind and doesn't have the same issues as the rest of his family. The rest of the family prepares for a ritual to sacrifice Grace to Mr. LaBelle. Grace wakes up tied to the dining table while the family performs a satanic ritual around her. They all drink from a chalice and Tony aims a knife at her, ready to kill her. Then things take a dramatic turn. It turns out that Daniel has poisoned his family in order to save Grace. He frees her from her bindings and the two of them start making their way through the halls in search of an escape. However, they are stopped by Daniel's wife, Charity, who points a gun at them. When Daniel refuses to hand over Grace, Charity shoots him in the throat. Grace is left to face off against Charity and manages to knock her out. She checks on Daniel before continuing on her way, but is soon confronted by Tony Domas, the father. Grace uses a lantern to knock him out and runs away. Alex is searching for Grace but instead finds his dying brother. Daniel dies in his arms, and it is clear that his death has a profound impact on Alex. In the dining room, Becky, the mother, finds Grace and the two of them get into a scuffle on the floor. In a moment of frustration and anger, Grace beats Becky's skull repeatedly, killing her. Just as she does this, Alex walks into the room and sees what has happened. He approaches Grace, grieving and shaken, but now fueled by anger and a desire for revenge. He has made the decision to switch sides and join forces with his family. Then the rest of the family enters the room and they start the ritual once again. Meanwhile, the fire started by the lantern is rapidly spreading throughout the mansion. They hold Grace down on the dining table, and Alex moves in to stab her in the chest, but she dodges and slips out of their grasp. Just in time, a beam of light shines through the curtains and they realize that the morning has come, and the curse is broken. The family members start to scream and run away from the sunlight, but Aunt Helene remains determined to kill Grace. She grabs an axe and suddenly bursts into flames. One by one, the Domas family members start to spontaneously combust. Grace begins to laugh in a sinister manner, and Alex approaches her, seeking comfort. But Grace is already frustrated with him and wants a divorce. A ghostly figure of Mr. LaBelle briefly appears at the dining table, covered in blood and grime. Grace walks out of the burning mansion, lights a cigarette on the front stoop, and is confronted by police officers. They ask her what happened, and the movie ends with her answer: in-laws. Thanks for being with us.